Yay, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yay. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the experiment. You can probably only see me. I do that by design because this is an experience that is created for you by you. And hopefully it will feel like the two of us are just hanging out here for the next hour. The experiment is all about feeling your feelings starting right now. Feeling your feelings starting right now, even as I'm explaining what in the heck this is. Here's a fun thing about feelings. What most of us do, me included, or what most of us have lots of practice doing, me included, is stuffing our feelings, repressing them, shoving them down. An alternative experience many of us are good at is escaping from our experiences, or our experiences. Well, our feelings are experiences, but escaping from our feelings. A third thing that for sure for me, I was taught to express my feelings, cry, scream, yell, talk about them. The experiment is not about any of that. It's simply about feeling them. And the good news is you cannot do the experiment wrong because you are simply experimenting. Isn't that awesome? You can't do anything wrong during our time together or any time that you try this out. It is impossible to do. The experiment I find to be incredibly weird for all the reasons I just said and more. So, one of the reasons the experiment is weird is when you're feeling your feelings, it is not your job to name them. You don't have to say, oh, that's anger, that's sadness, that's guilt, that's Harvey, that's Peter, that's Genevieve. None of that is required. You're simply feeling what is there. It's not about finding them, knowing why you have them, where they exist in your body, what they mean in the future, or even figuring out what to do about them. It is simply about feeling your feelings. And the definition in the experiment of what a feeling is it's anything from a super petty feeling or a tiny feeling all the way up to something that's big or maybe you might consider important. So it's all the little tiny stuff, all the really big stuff. It's also all the stuff that you might say is a positive feeling. Lots of people think, oh, I'm going to feel my feelings, and then they instantly go to the sad or negative or hard things. It's also about the positive feelings. Those deserve to be felt fully as well. Of course, it is for the stuff you might call negative or hard or dark. It's also for things you might not technically think of as a feeling. For example, the energy in a room, the energy flowing through you, the energy of something else, living, or even like this lid to my bottle, right? I haven't tried it, but I bet that has some energy. It's also for things like your senses, feeling your goosebumps, smelling things, hearing things, touching things. Let's see. Oh, this time and the experiment is not about pouring your guts out. You will have to work hard, I think, to have a vulnerability hangover. You're not required to share what you felt, what you saw, what happened. Although I will be inviting you to share your experiences or ask any questions during this time. And I strongly encourage you to participate in that part of this call if you feel it's something you want to do. If you think you have to do it because, oh, poor Sarah, no one's talking or anything like that, don't worry about me. I'm covered. I can feel the feelings of people talking or not talking. I have that covered. But if you feel compelled to share, please do share. Here's another reason I think the experiment is weird. It is not about having discipline. You don't have to have discipline about the experiment. There's no like, if you do it for 31 minutes a day, you're now a winner. None of that. The cool thing is you're feeling your feelings. You've been feeling your feelings your entire life. This is about tuning into the fact that you have been. And you will in your life and during this time to the perfect amount for you. Because like I said, it's custom built for you, by you. Oh, I love it. What else did I want to say? Oh, you also don't have to have discipline about your thoughts. In lots of sort of practices or disciplines or meditations, you have to have this discipline about your thoughts. That is something I have never accomplished in my life, and you don't need to do it here. Your thoughts are welcome. I think of your thoughts as like if you're at a party and they're passing hors d'oeuvres, hors d'oeuvres, right? That's how that's spelled, right? So they bring you a tray That's your thoughts. It's your job to feel the feelings that come with that tray, and that's to eat the yummy little tidbit, right? So your thoughts are absolutely welcome. They are partners in the experiment. Welcome your thoughts. Use your thoughts. Also, the way we do this is weird. In my best case scenario, I make an invitation to you to feel your feelings, and it is so compelling or interesting, or it feels so good, or it's so whatever, it's so curious to you that you don't want to come back and be interrupted by me. And so please do this. Please set a timer for me, it's on my phone, but for you, wherever you set timers, for 10 minutes to the next hour. Because if you do get lost feeling your feelings, which would be my dream come true, that alarm will remind you to come back to this conversation here. We'll conclude right around that time and send you off to the rest of your day. That doesn't mean you have to stop feeling your feelings, though. You may leave this call and continue feeling your feelings all day, all week, all month, all year. Actually, you will, because you're always feeling them. You just may be tuned in to that fact that you are. Let me look at my list here. I want to make sure I say all the things I wanted to say here before we get started. Oh, this is really important. Doing the experiment is not about making your feelings go away or letting them go. It's actually about letting them reintegrate into you, get realigned with you. So even though it may feel like, whoa, I really felt that and it went away, that's not the job to make it go away. The job is to simply feel it to its completion, to feel it all the way. And at that point, it will reintegrate into you. That's the best word I have for it. Reintegrate, realign with you. It'll get into alignment with you. All right, so that's the setup. Let's start experimenting. Here's how this goes. I'm going to make an invitation to you, and I'm going to tell you how many minutes we're going to try it. And then my hope is that you'll turn the volume down on me and just keep doing that invitation for as long as it feels right. And then when you go on and come back, turn the volume back up on me. So here's the first invitation. Let's see what we've got. I have 4 pages of invitations, and I literally just put them out on my desk here, and whichever one catches my eye is the right one to do. So let's see what it is. Oh, fun. Okay, this is the first invitation. Think of what I call the BO zone of you. So if you had bad BO, like you were camping for 2 weeks and you really stink, I'm going to say for me, that would probably be 2 to 3 feet out around me that people would be able to smell me. Gross. Right? So think of that zone of you. My invitation is to feel the feeling of that space around you, the body odor zone. And we're going to do this one. Well, if I can find my timer, here we go. We're going to do this one for 2 minutes. And for me, I like to close my eyes. You can do it however you want. And I do every experiment here with you. So for 2 minutes, my invitation is to feel your BO zone. If that doesn't work because your brain takes you in 75,000 other places, that's perfect, because the invitation is always and only ever to feel what shows up. So here we go, 2 minutes. That was 2 minutes. Who has an experience from that experiment or a question they'd like to ask? And you can do the little reaction button on the bottom, or if you have your video showing, you can just wave at me. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. The experiment is an invitation to feel all of it, right? Your reaction to a cologne or BO, it's an invitation to feel the feeling of another person's energy. And you have words for it, stiff, right? You just feel their energy, and the invitation is to feel it. You may have a decision you make based on that and to feel it. I'm also aware there's a person who came in, and now here we are talking about BO. So welcome. The first experiment we did was about feeling the feelings of what I call the BO zone. Like, so if you had really bad BO, the like 2 or 3 feet around you. That's why we're talking about BO. I want to make it clear that I'm the one who started this weirdness, not this other participant on the call. Is there anybody else who has a question or an experience they'd like to share from the first experiment? And I also feel compelled for the new person. If you would like me to explain what the heck we're doing, please put that in the chat or give me a thumbs up reaction, and I'll do that. If not, I'm going to keep us moving. So anybody else, a question or an experience they want to share? Totally optional. Oh, and I see you were able to change your name. I love it. Okay. Okay, let's do another experiment here. Okay, this one's coming up. Okay, so we did the BO zone. Now here's the next invitation. Feel the space inside of you, like the between your skin, the part of your body between your skin. You can either start with the whole body, or if that's just like, whoa, are you kidding me? You can pick one part of you, maybe one hand or one finger, and start there. And if you want, if you're starting with one and you feel it, then you can broaden out to other parts of you, or you can just start with the whole thing. And of course, the only invitation with the experiment is to feel whatever feelings show up. So if you get the like, what in the world? I don't even know how to do this. Great. Feel the feeling of what in the world? I don't even know how to do this. Because that's all the experiment is feel what shows up. We're going to do this one for 2 minutes too. Go ahead, starting now. That was 2 minutes. For those of you who are back, does anyone have an experience they want to share or a question about that experiment? And I will say this too, as people share on the call today, I invite you to feel the feeling of what they're sharing. Because I love to feel the feeling of people talking in my life, even songs or when I'm in meetings, and practicing it here is a great place to practice. So as people share, feel the feel, and as I'm talking, feel the feeling of what we're saying. So with that, anybody feel like you'd like to share an experience or have a question from that experiment? And you can do the little reaction doohickey or wave. I'm going to take a note of that. Maybe start inside of mouth. That is inside of you. I love it. Curiosity is not required for the experiment, and it can be so helpful. I heard that in both of your shares, like, oh, well, oh, my mouth. Oh, curiosity. The experiment was inspired in me by reading David Hawkins' book, Letting Go. The experiment is not the same thing that he talks about in his book, and it's similar. And one of the things he talks about his process, and that I'm also seeing in the experiment, is that it doesn't create these mountaintop experiences that you crash from. Instead, it is a simple, practical, created for you by you at your speed, at your intensity, at your depth, which may be different today or right now than it is 1 hour from now, 1 day from now, 1 year. And that term, ordinary ecstasy, is beautiful. All right, let's do the next one. This is so funny. The ones that are popping out are all body ones. I'm resisting that. Well, okay. Okay, I guess this is what's showing up. Okay, don't know why. We're gonna do a quick one. We're gonna do 1 minute. We did the BO zone, we did the inside. Now we're gonna do the room you're in. Just feel the room you're in for 1 minute. And I'll get my timer ready here. Okay, for 1 minute, feel the room you're in. All right, that was 1 minute of the room you're in or whatever happened to show up. Who has a question or an experience on that one that you feel like sharing? And it's not required. Certainly welcome, but not required. So interesting that all these space ones are showing up today. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Hmm. Interesting. Here's what showed up. Here's your next invitation. Think of a question you're trying to answer in your life. This might be a decision or a how do I this, or a why is this way, or a when will this happen, or something I didn't just say. The invitation is to feel the question, not the answer, to simply feel the question. And we'll do this one for 2 minutes. Feel the question. Hmm. That was 2 minutes. Who has a question or an experience from that one you'd like to share? Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's feel the feeling of the question. The question might present a new format to you. It might present an answer. It might just do nothing. It might drive you crazy. It's not the assignment to have a big wow and wow. That is the only thing the experiment is. Feel the feelings that are there for you on behalf of you, created by this question. One thing I learned when I first started learning about the experiment is I have a tendency in my life to want to switch to positive on things. And part of that is protection, and part of that is lots of work that I did with the work of Byron Katie, which you don't have to know what I'm talking about right now, but you might. And when I was first beginning to learn about the experiment, I was scared one night. And I instantly went to feel safety, Sarah, feel safety. Don't feel the scared, feel the safety. And what happened when I did that, and there's no guarantee that this is what would happen for you, but what happened for me is I started running around my house, closing the windows and locking the doors and doing things that give me the sense of safety. But I mean, these are big windows that someone just has to throw a rock through. Like it was silly, I realized. And what that taught me feels similar to the question. My job was to feel the scared, feel what is there for you, feel the question. Don't skip the question to go feel the answer, which also might be groovy in the experiment. I'm going to go to the car. You might feel the VW bus, the vintage Mustang. I'm just making up stories about what you might be considering buying, or the scooter. You might feel some of those possible answers. That is a way you might use the experiment as well. And the whole point in me sharing this is feel what is there, feel the scared until maybe you feel safe. Then feel the safe too. Feel the question. An answer may show up for you. Feel the answer. It's simply about feeling what is there for you. And that's that. And I know that can be easier said than done. And this is an hour to experiment with the experiment. Ooh, is there someone else who wanted to say something? I almost feel like there was something. I don't want to cut you off if something else wants to say something. Perhaps this list of experiments. Um, hmm. Okay, this is what wants to be the next one. Um, we're going to do 2 minutes on this one as well. You can use the experiment in time travel. I'm calling this time travel, which is what our brains like to do, right? They like to go back. Oh my God, that one time when that one person said this, this is what they meant. Or I shouldn't say ours. I'm just going to say mine does. It also likes to go into the future. Oh, if you do this, XYZ is going to happen. Or you're going to live under a bridge if you do this, whatever, right? It likes to spend a lot of time traveling. You get to use the experiment in your time travels as well. So we're going to time travel to a time you did something shitty. And you're going to feel the feeling of that time that you did something shitty, whatever that is. Might be a little bit of shitty, might be a lot of bit of shitty. We're going to do 2 minutes on that experiment. that was time. You may or may not, when you do the experiment, have thoughts that come through that have a little bit of a different texture to them. Meaning, when I do the experiment, I often have thoughts that roll around, roll around, roll around. And then there might be one that's like zip. And I often will take note of that. You may or may not, when you have the experiment, have that. And I wish I had better language for this, but it just has a little different texture or sound to it. It's worth writing down. It doesn't mean you have to go do everything that shows up. But on that one, I had a thought like that and I wrote it down. I think I will probably do what it said. And it doesn't have to just be for an experiment about something you did when you did something shitty. It might be anytime when you do the experiment. You have a thought that shows up and it has a little more like, this is a message, listen to me. With that, does anybody have an experience or a question on that last experiment? Feeling the feeling of when you did something shitty? Thank you for everything you just said. And I'm going to point out two things. One about the shitty to yourself. I can see some of the faces of other people on this call, and there were facial expressions that I took as recognition in that. So that was powerful. I want you to know the powerful impact you had on other people, including me, with that observation. And you are not alone in this living in your head and struggling with the feeling part. So want you to know that. And what I would encourage you to do is don't be too worried about if I'm inviting you to think about something you did shitty or to feel the feeling of something you did shitty, and where your brain goes is, oh my gosh, I forgot to buy pistachios at the grocery store yesterday. That's beautiful. Feel the feeling of forgetting to buy pistachios. And if you go to the pistachios and then your brain's like, oh no, actually, I don't want you to do that. I'm going to tell you right now that you're doing this wrong. Awesome. Feel the feeling of you're doing it wrong. And if then you start to feel that and your brain's like, no, wait a minute, are those raspberries in the refrigerator gone, or should I try to save them? Cool. Go to that, right? I'm just telling you where my brain goes. I hope your brain doesn't do what mine does. But anyway, I'm assuming you can kind of relate to this. So what I find is true in my experience and others that I've chatted with is our I don't know if it's our brains or our egos or what it is. We don't even have to know what it is. Wants us to bounce around quite a bit. And so you will bounce around. And your only job is to feel the feeling of the bouncing around until maybe the bouncing is a little less. And it may never be less. Great. Just feel the feeling of that. And maybe the words bouncing around aren't accurate for your experience as well. You get to feel the feeling of that. I know our world doesn't really like it or doesn't want to tell people that have ADHD that they're doing it right. So, yeah, the experiment is like, bring it on. I'll feel all those feelings. I'll feel all those thoughts. Let's do it. Let's go for it. So, thank you for that share. Anybody else have something they want to share about that last experiment or any others for that matter on the call today? We have about 7 minutes until we start concluding. Let's do at least one more and then we'll see what else. Huh. Okay, here's what showed up. And it's really interesting after your insight there about doing things to yourself. So here's what showed up. Think about a word about yourself that you don't like, that either you have said or someone else has said. Feel the feeling of that word. And we're going to do this for a minute. 1 minute on this word about yourself that you don't like. Whew. That was a minute of that experiment. Who has a question or an experience from that one they'd like to share? This one is kind of like the scared thing. It's feeling the feeling of these thoughts, either that we have created or words we've put on ourselves or other people have put on ourselves. At least I like to avoid those things, escape from them. The experiment is invitation to, instead of escaping from, to feel it. If you are like me, going into that one, it was like, ooh, I don't really wanna. My brain wanted to bounce out. That is actually part of the experiment. Um, when things feel too big for you, the experiment will offer you other ideas or things to think about if it doesn't feel, or you don't feel ready to go into the target of a hard thing. So the invitation always is to go with whatever shows up. My for me, by me experiment was like, oh, hell no, you're not going all the way in there, girl, today. You're going to stay away from that. So I went with what I had. That's an invitation that may or may not have happened to you or for you or by you or with you. And there may be things in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is a big problem for me. I'm going to go in and feel right in this target zone of that thing. When I first learned about the experiment, I was like, amazing. The experiment is going to help me deal with the fact that I have a 50-year-old woman's body that I'm deeply uncomfortable in. And I was like, boom, I'm going to sit down and feel that. Nope, hell no. It was like, you're not getting in the middle of it. So what I've learned, and David Hawkins says this as well, is if there is a thing that you really want to dig in or feel, and that's way too much, if that's the deep end of the pool, go back to shallower waters and feel that. And then you might be able to come in to the deeper thing. That's an actual tool you can use with the experiment. If you go in and try to feel something and it's like, great, don't force it. It's not a discipline. It's going with what is there. It will bounce you out to the shallow water at the depth that is right for you in the moment. That was my experience, I guess, there. Anybody else have one they want to share or a question about that? And here's what's so cool about the experiment. It will bounce you out to shallow water, the perfect shallow water. Even if what it bounces you out to is, oh shit, I forgot to buy pistachios. Perfect. It's the perfect shallow water. It will bounce you to the right spot. It just does that. Isn't that cool? I think it's so cool. Yeah, you don't have to pick the place. I mean, you can though. You can say, oh, if I can't touch that, I'm going to back out to, 3 feet. And if you go in and that works great, awesome. If it doesn't work great, it will bounce you to something else. It'll give you something else and go with that something else. I love this so much. So here's my challenge, and this is the challenge of the experiment is what and I always try to make it, because I don't know what anybody's experience is. What I know for me is I can, again, Byron Katie, wildly valuable tool. I can talk myself into escaping from the feelings that want to show up by giving the feelings a different way to look at the world. And it is wildly effective. And I'm not telling you not to do it, any of you not to do it. I am saying this. My invitation to you with the experiment is to feel the temper tantrum. To feel the temper tantrum. To simply feel the temper tantrum. In my life, no guarantee this is true in your life. When I feel the temper tantrum, I spend about 3 points of energy feeling it. When I fight the temper tantrum, I spend about 33 points of energy pushing it to the side. That's just me. And I'm making up the quantity of 3 and 33. Those aren't real things. I'm making that shit up. So it's about feel it, feel it. That's all this is. No requirement that you should, have to, must, or it's better. It's simply an invitation. Feel the temper tantrum. Okay, here we go. Your alarms probably went off. Hopefully you set them and hopefully they went off. I want to just conclude our time together here. Let me find my notes for this. Here they are. Okay. Thank you for being here. Simple reminder, you cannot do it right. You cannot do it wrong. You can simply experiment with the experiment. This is not a discipline. This is not a practice. This is not a fail if you forget about it until next Monday or never again in your entire life. It's created for you, by you, perfectly custom built. You don't have to pin your feelings or your thoughts down. You don't have to wrestle with your thoughts or your feelings. This is all about receiving and feeling what shows up. You don't have to do this every day. I do find that I really like spending a little time every day to do it, but there's no rule. I miss it when I don't. I notice it when I don't. And there's no rule. That's my custom version for me. It may be for you that you just spent an hour kind of in a wrestling match with yourself. And this, like, oh my God, I don't even think I felt a thing. That is perfect. You did it perfectly. And what I would say is, going forward, in my experience, life is a constant invitation to feel my feelings, the positive ones, the negative ones, the little ones, the big ones, the petty ones, the important ones, and the physical ones, the aches, the pains, the tension, the goosebumps, the sun on my face. Life is an invitation to feel your feelings. And if you're not even sure you felt your feelings, or if it's feeling overwhelming or whatnot, my invitation to you is to simply notice all of the invitations that life gives you, because it certainly will, and it certainly does give you invitations to feel your feelings. One really important thing to take note of is, as you do the experiment, things will change in your life. And they might be little and they might be big, and you might not even notice them. It might be that other people point out to you, oh, you seem lighter. Or they say, did you lose weight? Or did you cut your hair, but you didn't do either one of those? Or, geez, I kind of thought you were going to blow up in that situation and you didn't blow up. It'll be feedback that people give you. That's evidence that the experiment is working. You also might just notice evidence on your own. And my passionate plea to you is to keep track of that evidence. Maybe you have a little note section in your phone, or you take a voice memo, or you just write it down in a journal. I also have a Marco Polo group. If you would like to join it, people go in and they share their evidence, and you get to see other people's evidence that the experiment is working. I also have, if you just want some reminders to do the experiment, I have a Marco Polo Sharecast. It's one way. I share probably maybe 3 or 4 times a week an invitation to feel your feelings. Please put in the chat, or, well, here, I'm actually going to say, send me an email here, and I'm happy to get you in either one of those. Those are both free. What else? Please invite your friends, your family, bring people here. The experiment runs free, I like to say. It absolutely runs free. This Monday call is free. I'm doing some in-person versions and some longer virtual. So they're 3-hour tours like Gilligan's Island. My next virtual one is coming up on October 13th. And then I also have an in-person one coming in November and February. And I'm thinking about doing, I think I'm going to call it like the 10-day safari or the 10-day journey or whatnot, where a group of people just really focus on doing it every day for 10 days. So those are coming up. Drop me a note to my email if you're interested in any of those. But the experiment runs free. Thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate you investing in yourself with this time. So here's what possessed me to do this. I was hosting a monthly call on about Byron Katie's The Work for EOS implementers. And I listened to David Hawkins' book one night. And in the 3 paragraphs, in David Hawkins' book, Letting Go, he has 3 paragraphs where he actually describes how to do his method. 3 whole paragraphs in that long ass serious book. And so I was like, shut off Audible. and said, I'm going to try it. And I tried it. And it was so compelling and so mind blowing to me that I just decided to turn the EOS implementer Byron Katie call into this and then broaden it out to anybody who wanted to come. It has changed the fabric of my life, and I just can't help but to share it with people. So that's how this happened. Thank you. Thank you.